Hi, performers and achievers. Welcome to Performers and Achievers Daily with me, Raj Gavurla. In today's episode, we're talking about something very important in continuing with the theme of timing. That was my previous episode, and this episode, timing. Timing is very important. There's a timing belt on a car. There's timing is involved in everything, right? So here's what's so important about it. A continuation of the previous episode is timing your breaks. Timing your breaks. In other words, okay, let's say you have an 8 hour day. Now, depending upon your schedule, and how you have allocated your time for whatever it is that you want to accomplish or need to or have to or must or whatever words you approve of to get done, to get results, get a little better results or get better results. How much time is there? Is there enough prep time? Is there enough recovery time? And then when do you time your breaks? See, we can't be going from just one thing to the next, to the next task, to the next task, to the next task or goal or whatever it is you use. Microscope goal, most important task, your next initiative, your next meeting, your next whatever. We can do that. However, we need to have something to also look forward to know when we need that recovery, when we need timing for a break. And that can fluctuate at times, right? Can fluctuate at times. Let's say during a sporting event, it takes about 4 hours to complete the whole thing. Let's just say from preparation all the way to recovery. Well, then, as you're going in, you're able to schedule where the breaks are, right? You're able to schedule what to do in those down times or what not to do. And you have those. You have it before the pregame, pre-match. You have it at halftime. And then after the game, obviously, there's a break. And then during the game, there are specific breaks. And depending upon what your position, your role on the team is, you may be in the game the whole match, the whole game, or you may be in there for spots. Just really depends which sport, what your position, what your role is, and who you're playing. There's a lot of factors, right? However, when you know ahead of time what your plan, your design for your day is, what you have scheduled, then you can strategically put in breaks. Strategically put in breaks. And please don't think you can just go straight into one another, the next thing, keep going like that because eventually you'll burn out. Not because you don't like the grind, not because you like the grind or you like to think you're tougher or toughen up. No, there's a reason for strategic breaks. You see these people move here. Where is here? Greenville, South Carolina area. A lot of times they move here. You know why they move here? A lot of times because it has 4 seasons. We have 4 seasons. We have a spring, we have a summer, we have a fall, and a winter. Now, our spring is a pretty short spring, however, we do have one. However, we have all 4 seasons. I've met with people and they're like, well, we like the climate, we like the 4 seasons. And we wanted to go somewhere in this area. And somehow they ended up in Greenville. They visited, they met a family or have some family here, have a friend here. They look around, see if, this is the place. And that's one of the things on their criteria, 4 seasons, because it gets those breaks, right? Just like in your business, you probably have some seasonal breaks. With your family, right? You schedule trips, vacation maybe, or staycations. So breaks are essential. This isn't something where you're trying to be some superhuman being and you don't need any breaks. You don't need to drink water. You don't need to recover. You can just go in and work whatever way you want to work, and eventually you'll burn out. You may get the initial high, and people around you might get the initial high of it. And eventually, you're going to have some depth in order to make that sustainable because it's just not sustainable. And I've seen this in all types of businesses. I've seen it in other businesses. And it's like, it's just not sustainable. It really isn't. So the point is, are you strategically scheduling breaks at the right moments? So during my day, my breaks are not always exactly at the same time. However, I do make breaks, if that makes sense to you. So in other words, I do eat lunch, but sometimes I eat lunch a little earlier than at other times. I do have a late afternoon routine, and if you are not familiar with that, you can look at it and in a previous podcast and learn about that. We know we have a PM routine. I created a late afternoon routine, and then we have a PM routine. I think I said first it's AM routine, late afternoon routine, and then a PM routine. So it's very important, those 3 routines. And your PM routine is actually the most important. And this is something I can advise you of right here. And normally I don't do something like this. However, I can definitely say in your AM routine, if you're living with people, you have a family or you have roommates or whatever, it's a good idea to sort of touch base with them in the morning and in the evening. Late afternoon, it really depends on what kind of, if it's a family member, if it's someone else, it really depends. However, in the morning, yes, and in the evening, yes. That's if you're living together. You'll see a really significant benefit to that. And just think the benefit, the other person may find it a little odd too. However, it doesn't take like a long, long time. It just takes like 5 to 10 minutes, sometimes maybe less. However, it's a lot better than nothing. You just sort of walk by each other, leaving and coming in, and the same thing in the evening, leaving and getting up and doing something and waking up the next morning, right? Because we need that. We appreciate each other. We have gratitude and thankful for each other. And sure, we're looking out for each other. Of course we are. We wouldn't be living together if we weren't. However, this is just another way to bring out the benefits of it, to create what some people may call, depending upon who it is, cohesiveness, some type of bonding or create oxytocin, which is like the bonding, the social uh, security, as far as social security in the sense that you're looking out for one another and it feels supportive and you feel that bond and you experience the bond or the connection or the whatever it may be, the romance, the love, the camaraderie, the friendship, It could be a variety of things. That's if you're living with people. So that's what I have for you today. Do you strategically time your breaks? And that's very, very important. Right before I shot this podcast, I did my late afternoon routine. The only thing left to do on my late afternoon routine is to do my concentration grid, do my Elevate brain training program, and then meditate for 10 minutes. That's what I have for you today. So your bonus is exactly this. Answer this question. Do you strategically plan your breaks? Or do you just have breaks whenever or they're at the same time every day? That's what I have for you today. If you like my podcast, like it and comment in the comment section. For those of you who are interested in my private, personal, professional, confidential programs and services, visit my website, rajgavurla.com. Fill out the brief form and we will contact you as soon as we can. Enjoy your day.